Assalamu alaikum. I'm honored to be honored by you and to be welcomed into your community. 40 years ago, a young singer by the name of Harry Chapin and I had a dream, and that was to fight hunger here in the United States and around the world. And we have an organization that we call Why Hunger? It's a strange name maybe, but we ask the question, why is there hunger in a world that can feed itself? You all know that there's enough food in the world to feed everyone, and yet we have almost 1 billion people who are hungry. And here we have the richest country in the history of the world, and we have about 48 million people who are hungry. And so we ask the question, why? And unless you ask that question, you can never get to any kind of an answer. And so most people said, well, the answer is simply to feed people. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a charitable thing. It's a part of what you do as part of your communities, but it isn't enough. Because if you feed someone and you haven't changed their situation, they'll come back again the next day or the next week or the next month. So what we did, and what we have been doing ever since, is to follow two very important rules. One of them is that the root cause of hunger is poverty, and the root cause of poverty is powerlessness. And so we've always identified ourselves with those in our society and around the world who are powerless, but have real power within them if it could come out. And so we work with organizations throughout our country in some of the poorest regions, in the Mississippi Delta, in the border down in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and all over the world in over 20 countries. And what we try to do is to not go in and tell people what they should be doing, because they know what they should be doing, but they don't have the resources to do it necessarily. So we try to connect with leaders in the community, find out what they're doing, and bring resources to bear that can help the people to not just get fed, but to change their lives. And that means not just fighting hunger, but the root cause of hunger, which is poverty, and helping people to get power in their lives, especially against oppressive governments or people who are trying to oppress them for religious reasons, political reasons, whatever that may be. And so, yes, we've created a number of very innovative programs to do that. We have a program that's in 20 countries now called Imagine There's No Hunger, and it uses John Lennon's words and his image, and we partner with his widow to do that. And when we go in, what we try to do is to not just feed people, but rather to fund grassroots organizations all over the world that are actually helping people to grow their own food and to do it sustainably through agroecology and through other methods that will not destroy the environment and create more problems than they solve. And these programs are working all over the world now. We'd like to have more. We'd like to be in more places. And then here in the United States, we have established a National Hunger Hotline, 1-800-5-HUNGRY. People call us from all over the country. We connect them to emergency food in their neighborhood, but then we try to go beyond that, connect them to the government feeding programs, and also to programs that will help them to get out of poverty. We work with hundreds of community-based organizations all over this country. And what we're trying to do is to not just help them to feed people, but have it be nutritious food. We not only have a problem of hunger in this country, we have a problem of diabetes, we have a problem of obesity that leads to all kinds of terrible diseases, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. So we're focused on healthy food, number one, and number two then, promoting self-reliance. Having these groups reach out to people, not just to hand them food, but to involve them in the process of changing their lives. So this is who we are, that's what we do, and we have wonderful partners. The only reason we could do this, we're not a big organization. It sounds like we are, but we're not. But we have lots of partners, including all of you. So you can do a couple of things. In your community, if you work with a community-based organization that's feeding people, try to challenge them to do more, to not just give people food, but healthy food, especially fresh fruits and vegetables and dairy products, meat, not just junk food. That's number one. And then number two, help the people in their community to be growing their own food, to be getting better jobs. That's how you change this country. Now, when we started 40 years ago, I had come from the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement, and we knew that we wanted to start a movement. Well, there hasn't been a hunger movement as such for all these years, but right now, there is what I call a movement of movements. Now think about this. This is people who have come from a different perspective. There are those who want to just feed people. There are those who want to have good food for people. They want to change the food system in this country. There are people who are environmentalists, and they see how tragic it is that we have droughts all over the place and we have food that's unhealthy. There are people who want to try to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour so that the poorest of people can afford to actually buy food. There are people who are coming together from a spiritual point of view, from a political point of view, and just a community point of view. We bring and we welcome all of you as partners. So work with your community-based organizations and help them to see that the answer to hunger is not simply feeding people, but helping people to get out of poverty and find their own power. Thank you.